Everybody doing this evening? It has been the most amazing day in terms of weather. A little bit breezy at times, wasn't it? But it was absolutely gorgeous. I managed to get out for a little cheeky late afternoon, early evening run, and it was just beautiful. It's just such a joy to live in such a wonderful place as Bishop's Cleeve. So hope your day's been okay as well amidst it all and during the lock-in and everything. And welcome to this extra little live feed we're doing this evening. Not a long one, just a short time. Wanted to invite you to something, tell you about something that we're looking forward to starting next week for those of you that might be interested in discovering more about the Christian faith. Thank you folks for saying hello. Yes, there are people there. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. So Tuesday evening and an opportunity to think about something we're going to be doing next Tuesday evening that I hope loads of you are going to be interested in. It's always amazed me and thrilled me the different ways in which people come to Christian faith. I've known people come to faith that through in very dramatic circumstances where it's been a kind of crisis thing, or they've been in a dark place and something's happened, something's turned on in their lives, is interested in God and faith, and they found themselves believing in Jesus. And I've also known people who have taken years and years on a steady journey of faith towards a real relationship with God and an understanding and a belief that's changed their lives. And what I love about these stories is they're all unique and they're all valuable. Every one of them, is quality. So you may well have been around people who are Christians. There may have been somebody in your family, or you might have had some Christian faith in the past. I shared a little bit about my story a couple of weeks ago, and I said I'd do a little bit more. So quick recap: grew up in a kind of Christian home. Became a Christian, I felt, when I was about 11 years old, and felt I gave my life to Christ and said sorry for a load of stuff. And I can remember, even to this day, the amount of joy that filled my life at that time, up and down through my teenage years. And then when I got to 18, I couldn't wait to get away from home. Thought I was going to be having a nice kind of trial separation from God, if you like, and was very happy and looking forward to getting away from a father that'd been okay, but my father, Jamaican, was very strict, and I was just looking forward to getting away, going away to college. I was going to study engineering and having a great time. And I explained a couple of weeks ago how that great time didn't last very long. The joys I found were short-lived. The pleasure was shallow. I ended up failing my second year. I said I never really got to a morning lecture. I was never in a fit state to get there. And me and my mate Andy, we both failed. We'd lived together. And then life hit rock bottom, really, during that time. No one would have said I was a Christian. My lifestyle didn't look like it at all. And I didn't, the only time I used the name Jesus was not in the way that it ought to be used as a word of delight in someone who's quite wonderful, quite the opposite. So it was terrible, my life at that time, really, and I was right miserable. And then the friend that I failed with, we were coming up for our retakes, and he committed a very serious crime. And on the night we'd been together, he went off somewhere and committed this crime, and he got sent away for life because of that. And it was just an awful time for him and all those who were very close knit friends around him at the time. And at that time, I was really kind of searching. Well, I wasn't. I was searching. I was kind of just down, really. And I met a guy, Jamaican guy, actually. Turned out he was a Christian. I remember at first thinking, oh no, he's one of those, is he? I said, I used to be into that. And you may recall I said that he reminded me of what had been one of my favourite Christian Bible verses from when I was younger, where Jesus says, I have come that you might have faith. I have come that you might have life and have it to the full. And this guy said this to me. John was his name. We became good mates for quite a while. And he reminded me of that. And I thought, oh my word, all the places I've kind of looked to life to get more life, more abundant life, fuller life, none of it worked out. It all just seemed so shallow. And there I was in this dark place. And he just kind of said something else was, Mount, God wants you back. And I remember going back to my accommodation, and those two things particularly stuck in my mind. And John stuck to me and he led me back into my friendship with Jesus and taught me about faith, life, God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. And I came back with a fuller faith over the years to come. Anyway, I left college and went straight into business with my father. My father had a construction business. My brother was already been involved in that business, and it was sweet for a while. I came out of college, didn't get a great qualification because in a way I knew I was going to go straight into my dad's business. Came out of that, was pretty good, was a company director the next day. That was pretty good at 22, and got on with the business in the family firm. Got back into my local church and began doing youth work with a really good mate of mine. For years we did that youth work every week, but during that time I got interested in prison ministry because I've been following my mate round from prison to prison, and I remember phoning up Reading Jail one day because I just wanted to do more than the local church. I felt I had more to give and more to discover in my faith. I remember I phoned up Reading Prison, it was the one nearest to where I lived, and got through to their chaplain and said, I don't know if you ever taken any volunteers or anything like that, but I'd be really interested in. And he said, do you know what? We've just been praying about how we need someone this morning. Come and see me tomorrow. I went and saw him. One thing led to another. I ended up doing some prison ministry with young offenders and adult offenders as well. It's a steep learning curve, but I absolutely loved it. And one day I remember coming home to my wife, Carrie Ann, at that time and saying, this is what I want to do. So long story short, talked to another really good mate of mine who was a vicar actually at that time in Cheltenham, at Holy Trinity Cheltenham, came to talk to him about it. And then after that, decided I was going to leave the family business. Karen and I went to see my parents, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done to tell my father that I was going to be leaving it. I could hardly get the words out. And my mum guessed in the end. She said, her phrase was something like, you're going into the church or something. And I said, yeah. Didn't know quite what was going to happen. I remember my dad was dumbstruck really. And I remember around that sort of time, he said some things that I'm sure that he regretted, some really tough things for me to hear actually. In a way, I kind of got it because he'd come from Jamaica in the war. He'd started a business from nothing and worked incredibly hard. And I was incredibly proud of him, what he grew and the business that he grew. And I can understand he didn't understand why, in his eyes, I was throwing this all away. So one thing led to another. My friend Paul from Holy Trinity Cheltenham invited me for a job there actually, while I was just trying things out and thinking what God had got for me. So I became the youth worker at Holy Trinity Cheltenham for 3 years, absolutely loved it. And then went off to train at Vicar Factory and became a vicar, and here I am today. So that's a bit of my story. And what I found all through that time is that God has been just hugely faithful to me, because it hasn't all been sweetness and light and no problems. There have been loads of problems and issues and illness in our family and different things along the way. And during my 20s as well, there were times when I still really struggled with temptation and sin and messed up seriously at times. But I always found that, God was just such a faithful friend and just believed in me, I suppose, like I was saying the other Sunday, and kept with me. And so here I am. So I wonder what your story of faith's been. I wonder what things have got you thinking about life and death and what's important. And maybe it's been some of the things we've been sharing over the last few Sundays. Or maybe someone nudged you to come along and have a look at St Michael's and what we've been doing. And so I've got an invite for you. And we're going to be beginning the Alpha course next Tuesday. It runs for a few weeks, does the Alpha course. The Alpha course runs all over the world. It started in London, it runs all over the world. It's a course that me and many others of us from St Michael's Bishop's Cleeve have been involved in leading over many years in different places and different situations. And it's just a wonderful introduction to the Christian faith. So who's it for? It's for those that might be brand new to all this whole spirituality and Christianity thing and have got questions. Because we always say on the Alpha course, no question is too daft or too simple. We love to have discussions about everything. So it's for those who are really kind of on the foothills of Christianity and just exploring and not even sure if God exists, but if that's you, you'd be really welcome. It's also for those maybe who, like me, had done Christian faith maybe years before, but somehow you lost your way. You never made a big decision to turn away from God. It was just like, I don't know, life happened, marriage or partner or kids, or you moved, or there was an illness or something, and you just somehow found yourself a long way from God. You never planned it, but there you are. And maybe you're, just wondering about coming back to it. Maybe you never, really thought about it for years, always meant to, but here's your opportunity. So it's a great opportunity wherever you are in your faith to come back, or to come for the first time and explore in a really kind of friendly, easygoing atmosphere. So it's the first time for us doing Alpha online. Usually we meet in a hall, or I've done it before in a pub, and we have a meal and you get to know people in that way. This is different. Obviously it's different because the way that we are. So we're going to be using Zoom to do it. But just before I say that, let me say something about the topics that come up in Alpha. So it begins with the kind of, is there more to life than this? A kind of general introduction to, is Christianity relevant today? Then we look at, who is Jesus? And we think about, why did Jesus die? We think about the resurrection. We think too about temptation. How can we avoid evil? How can we be sure of our faith? Why read the Bible? Can we believe in it? How can I pray? So it's really kind of practical stuff. But along the way, we just explore and we answer questions and we go at the pace of the group quite often. So the way that it's going to work is we're going to be using Zoom to do our Alpha online this year. So many of us have been using Zoom. It's been a fantastic tool, and it's been just so encouraging to be able to meet with friends and family over Zoom and do quizzes and share meals and all that sorts of things. Sometimes it's been a bit frustrating, hasn't it? But quite a few of us have been using it, and our plan is to use Zoom. So if you'd like to join with us, I'd love you to either message me privately on Facebook, or if you're brave enough and bold enough and it's fine with you and those you're with, just to put it up on the comments that you want in. You want to come along and see what it's like and see if Alpha could be for you. So I invite you to download Zoom if you haven't done so already. Get a friend to get you to use it. It's pretty straightforward actually, and it's pretty good. And the idea is that I will send you the link for each week's Alpha films, and the films are really, really good. They last 20-25 minutes each one. They're really stimulating. They're professional quality. They've got wonderful stories of ordinary people who have wrestled with life and faith along the way, and loads of things to help us learn as well. So the idea is that when we gather at the beginning of the evening, I'll invite those who haven't watched the film before that occasion to watch the film. So people will be at home. I might gather us and say, right, now's the 25 minutes, go off and watch your film. You watch the film with the link that I give to you, and then we'll meet back together. And then depending on how many of us there is, we'll either be in one group together in Zoom, and we can all see each other's faces. And if it's just one group, I'll lead that. And I'll invite people to ask questions and to talk and converse. But let me make it really clear, there's no pressure on anybody at all. The last thing I want to do is put anybody on the spot or embarrass anybody like that at all. So you don't have to say anything. I'll invite people to speak and that kind of thing, but don't worry about that at all. And if we've got more than one group can handle, then I'll break us up into separate Zoom groups with other people, other friends of mine, great people from St Michael's who will lead those groups and just lead those discussions. So if you're interested in joining us, if there's something about my story or the story of another Christian that you've heard, or something that we've been sharing over these weeks that has made you lean in towards this story and you want to find out more, then please take up this invitation to come and join us on Tuesday nights. Either private message me or put something in the comments that you'd like to be involved, and we'll make sure that we're in touch with you, give you all the links and all the information that you need, and we just would love to welcome you. And one more thing as well, if you know that a friend of yours might be interested, then please let them know as well. We'd love to have them on board. We'd love to have loads of people on board for this. So that was it. Thank you for listening. A little bit more about my story, just to see how this Christianity thing works a bit in my life, and an encouragement from me to come and join us for our St Michael's digital online Alpha group with Zoom. So are you up for it? I hope you are. I look forward to hearing from you, and we'll keep these invitations going over the next few days. So yeah, sign up as soon as you can so that we know who's going to be involved and we can do our planning our end. So thanks for being with me. I hope the rest of your evening is a good one. This video will be up on our Facebook page, so do let somebody else, encourage somebody else to watch it if you think that they might be interested. And I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. So take care, everybody. God bless. Hope the rest of your evening's a good one.